Turning our attention back to COVID-19 and the companies which are making vaccines, Novavax released their earnings this hour, and Anjalee Khemlani has a recap for us as well as a bit of the discussion she had with their CEO. Anjalee?
That's correct, Adam. We know that the company has been a clinical stage company for quite some time, and this could be the year that it turns a profit. We've seen similar stories with companies like Moderna and others that are in the therapeutic space that are hoping to sort of ride the COVID wave. I had a chance to speak with the CEO, Stanley Erck, about just that and when they plan to see that come to fruition. So here's what he had to say.
In the United States is we just ran a trial. We've just enrolled 30,000 people in a trial. We enrolled 30,000 people in something like 6 weeks. They're all enrolled. We're accruing cases now is what you have to do in a trial. And our expectation is that we'll have enough cases in that trial in the U.S. to have data maybe a month or two later than the U.K. So the question on timing is, will the FDA feel comfortable using just the 15,000 person study in the UK and the South African data? Will that convince them to evaluate for EUA? And that decision will cost a month or two as to when they look at it. If they wait for all of the US data, then you've got a lag of a couple months. If they evaluate the UK data, they'll be within a few weeks of the UK approval. So.
Definitely waiting to hear to see if they'll accept that for sure. I know they've been asked about it. But looking at how the other companies have handled EUAs right now, if you do in fact have to wait until the full process is done, what learnings can you take from what has already happened to apply it to when you have to apply for the EUA?
Well, it's just. What lessons have we learned? I think what we will learn by waiting for all of the U.S. data is that we'll have a much bigger safety database on top of the one we already have, and plus we'll see what the impact of whatever strains are circulating in the U.S. are and compare it to the U.K. and the South African data. It just gives a bigger database to the FDA. It's all the same data. I mean, it's all the same manufacturing data and same safety database that we're building. So, yeah.
Fair enough. And talking about that, the manufacturing, I know that's been really a topic of conversation for the U.S., with different reasons why hurdles were met. I know that you've done a lot, and last time we spoke, you mentioned the significant expansion that Novavax has not just invested in, but also through partnerships been able to achieve. So looking through that lens, what do you anticipate or what have you seen in terms of waiting for the buildup for the U.S. doses?
Yeah, so we're building up doses now. Now we've now started. There are three parts of the vaccine. There's the making of the spike protein, which is a biologic. It's one process. There's the making of the adjuvant, which is a chemical formulation process, and then there's putting it all together in what's called fill finish, where you fill it into a vial, put the vial into a box, and have a label and all that sort of thing. So all three of those are now on our radar screen, and we're actually filling. We just started filling recently so that we can build up inventory so that by the time we get EUA, we'll have lots of inventory that we can ship immediately.
Okay. So now looking forward, this is obviously going to be able to help boost the company really and put it on the stage. I've seen some projections that count Novavax among the larger vaccine companies in coming years. So talk to me about the pipeline right now. I know there's also a flu combination COVID vaccine in the works. What else do you have on tap?
Well, so it turns out over the last decade, we have three vaccines that have been in phase 3 pivotal trials. We have an RSV vaccine, respiratory syncytial virus. It's the biggest cause of hospitalization of kids under 1 year old, and it's also a big cause of hospitalization in older adults. And that's a very important vaccine. People have been working on it for 60 years, no success. So we're hoping to have that vaccine with us. But it's a seasonal respiratory vaccine, just like flu. And 10 months ago, we announced pivotal phase 3 flu data and showed that we have potentially the best flu vaccine in the world. And you combine that with a COVID vaccine, with the data we have for safety and efficacy there, and they all use the same platform. So in theory, long term for the company, we can not only get through the pandemic, but presumably COVID is going to be a seasonal annual vaccine. And you can combine two or all three of those pathogens, viruses, in one vaccine. So you get one shot protected against the three most common causes of respiratory illness. It'd be huge.
Absolutely. And I know we're all waiting to see how that happens, but talk to me now about the way that this is affecting the company financially. You've been, in a clinical stage, as a clinical stage company for quite some time. The COVID vaccine could be the first vaccine to make it to the market. And you've already had so much investment, combination of funding from the government, plus the expense that you've had to put in, not just in research and development, but also, for regular expenses and for the expansion. So what does it look like right now? Are you now, fully revenue-making company?
Yeah, well, we've done something in the last year that probably in normal times would take 3 to 4 years to build. We've gone from, we had $100 million in the bank a year ago, which was about 6 months worth of money. We now have well over $1 billion in the bank, with more coming in from advanced purchase agreements and grants. We have, a market cap that was $100 million a year ago, and it's in the $15+ billion range right now. And so that allows us to have financial flexibility. We had 150 people total in the company in the U.S. and in Sweden. We now have 800 people in the company, and that's all built within the last 6 or 7 months. And so we've been able to attract just spectacular, experienced manufacturing engineers, scientists, clinicians that have all developed products in their past time. And to come here is an easy shift because you're working on one of the most important problems in healthcare. And so we've got a lot of good people. It has changed the company dramatically. But it's fast. It's 24/7, literally 7 days a week here. And I just got asked how my weekend was, and I said, what? So anyway, but that's what we're doing. And we will become, this year, our expectations are that we will be a revenue-generating, profitable company based upon COVID this year, and then expanding that to our platform as well.
So as you can hear, really a lot of energy behind this company right now, knowing that it's been a clinical stage company for quite some time, but we don't have a clear date on the vaccine just yet. As you just heard, the idea still sort of on the table of aggregating the clinical trial data from different countries and then submitting it to the U.S. I did speak to him after the call and after the interview, and he did say that, the FDA hasn't responded to that idea yet, but it is something that they have done in the past. So it remains to be seen whether or not they'll do that as well during this pandemic. Back to you guys.